Hi, my name is Nina Rosien. I'm a clinical dietitian for the Center for Community Health and Prevention. Today's Got Health talk will be about spices and how to add it into your cooking in a healthful way, but then also some of the nutritional benefits behind spices. And I first became interested in the variety of spices because it was a way that I could add in more diversity to my meals. Trying spices that I had never tried before was a way that would inspire me to look up new recipes and look up new innovative ways of trying these spices. And it really expanded the variety of foods that I was trying and the variety of recipes that I was interested in. A lot of spices have been shown to have some nutritional qualities that are really beneficial in improving our health. And also, in addition to that, it has been shown to hopefully increase fruit and vegetable intake in some populations. And lastly, with the addition to spices in our everyday cooking, we might not use some of the more, less desirable ingredients, such as sugar and sodium and saturated fat. So spices have quite a bit of benefits to them on their own, but then they can also help us create better habits and more diversity in our everyday cooking. And a lot of the spices have a variety of qualities, but the few that I am aware of that have significant anti-inflammatory qualities are turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon. And turmeric, you might see in the grocery store as like a gold orangey type powder, and it's actually got quite an earthy flavor to it. I find it to be kind of mild, but some people notice it's a little bit more earthy. And in addition to that, you can actually pair turmeric with black pepper, and it's supposed to increase the bioavailability and the impacts of being anti-inflammatory a significant percentage. So if you do try to use turmeric, make sure to also use it with black pepper because the nutritional qualities will be a lot better. A lot of times it's used in savory cooking, but I've seen some people use it also in some beverages, some hot beverages to be specific, with a little bit of honey and milk, specifically in tea. And it actually creates kind of a warm, cozy beverage in that regard too. But I like to actually use it with roasting vegetables and more savory foods. Roasting just your standard everyday vegetables like zucchini, potatoes, cauliflower, broccoli. You can really use it in anything, but in an even more convenient way, I've actually coated it on my French fries, my frozen French fries, just to add in a little bit more color and a little bit more excitement in there with some black pepper and some cayenne. And that's actually really delicious. Moving on to the ginger. So ginger has also been shown to be anti-inflammatory. It's more commonly used in for Asian cuisines that I've seen, but it is actually pretty affordable in its whole form. And again, it has its anti-inflammatory properties. I've seen it in a variety of types of cuisines, but I do like to use it in savory dishes. But I've also made it into a tea and actually steeped it with hot water and made a tea, a ginger tea that has been able to settle my stomach. So sometimes it can actually be beneficial for that too. In addition to that, cinnamon, another one of my favorite spices. So cinnamon, is typically very popular around the holiday time of year, Christmas and Thanksgiving and all the, different fall and wintry holidays and whatnot. So cinnamon is, again, another anti-inflammatory popular spice, and you can use it in a lot of the sweeter dishes, but I actually kind of like to use it in some savory dishes. One of my favorite ways to do that is to actually sprinkle a little bit in my chili. It makes the whole house smell amazing, but then also adds in a little bit of earthy flavor, but in a good way. And lastly, cinnamon, I actually like to put in my coffee, and I did that so that I wouldn't use as much sugar and creamer in my coffee because it added a little bit of flavor and not as much added calories or sugar or fat or anything. Another really great way to use spices is if they're roasted. So you can actually roast spices on your own to add even more of a depth of flavor to your foods. And it's really delicious. So we know that those spices are beneficial for their anti-inflammatory properties, which is supported by research. But also I started to notice some research that indicated that spices could help people eat more vegetables or at least be more interested in eating vegetables. And there was this one spice my plate study that was done with students that were between 9th and 12th grade, and they had two groups. One group that they just taught the My Plate curriculum that included the variety of food groups, and then one group that they taught the My Plate curriculum, but then also incorporated education on how to use spices in everyday cooking. And they noticed that the intake of protein of the students that used the spice-based were taught the spice-based cooking actually increased. And they actually noted that those that were using or taught to use the spices more regularly were more interested in eating fruits and vegetables than the other group. There was also a Penn State study that showed some herb flavored reduced fat dips and how they were received by 3 to 5 year olds. And they specifically put like herb and garlic and ranch herbs and spices into these dips. And they noticed that the intake of fruits and vegetables significantly were more desirable, and actually that those preferred vegetables with the herb dip compared to vegetables alone. So providing them with the vegetables with the herb dip was definitely more enticing versus just the vegetable in its natural state. So it is potentially encouraging for kids to be exposed to spices earlier on because it increases the interest in those foods and potentially can increase intake of those foods like fruits and vegetables too. So in summary, spices are a great way to add variety to your cooking. It can be a way of adding some more inspiration. If you've never used turmeric before, it causes you to search and try to find ways of using turmeric in different ways. It also has some of those anti-inflammatory properties that we talked about, and can even be beneficial for introducing to kids at any age because it can increase interest in those great products like fruits and vegetables, but then also even interest in cooking in the kitchen. Spices have a lot of really great benefits, and I definitely encourage you to try a new one next time you go grocery shopping.